Hello, everybody. Welcome to Work Besties Who Podcast. All right, guys, we have got one of my favorite guests that I think we've had on. Get ready for a dose of that corporate realness. It's a mom who comes with a lot of wisdom and some seriously relatable content. Today, we're going to be chatting with Tatyana, the corporate Gen X mom, as you probably all know her. And yes, that is the one and only social media sensation who says everything we're all thinking about work, career, and life. Especially as respective Gen X professionals, I feel like
she's in my head.
From hilarious takes on office culture to the realities of juggling a career with motherhood, she's built a thriving online community by keeping it refreshingly real. We are going to chat with her about what really drives her and what role does she think work besties play in her success. So stay to the bitter end because she will be sharing with us what she feels is that one thing that can make a workplace a more positive environment.
Hi, I'm Claude.
And I'm Jess.
We are corporate employees by day, entrepreneurs by night, and work besties for life.
Join us as we explore how work besties lift each other up, laugh through the chaos, and thrive together in every industry. Work besties! With that, welcome, Tatyana. We're so excited to have you on.
Such a kind introduction. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
A true one.
We're so excited to have you on. Do you mind telling us a little bit about who you are?
I will not get into too much detail because, I still have a corporate job and I don't really want anybody following me from work. I block as many people as I can from my workplace. It's getting harder to do that because obviously I have like over 90,000 people now following me. So it's a lot, but I'm trying not to break any corporate social media policies and everything so that I don't get this account really happened. It's become very difficult to balance the moral stance on how things should be and corporate greed. Corporate greed has always been there. Always. I mean, it's always been there. But it just seems like it was kind of a little bit more under control before. But after the pandemic, and when everybody realized, oh my gosh, we can all do our jobs at home for the most part, we had to return to the office. And then, all the things that the corporations are telling us during the performance reviews and compensation that raises are not in the budget and bonuses. Well, we didn't really do that well when their stock soared like 40%, or they're posting record profits. And it's a complete disconnect between how the regular actual workers are treated as opposed to what they're saying and what they're doing. There is a disconnect between what they're saying and what they're doing. Employees are our best asset, yet here's $2 salary increase for you. Don't spend it all in one place. So that's what really drove me. And I've been in the corporate world for like 22 years at this point, in different industries, in different companies. My current company I've been at for 17 of these years in multiple roles. And I've seen it all. Really, I've seen it all. I've had wonderful managers. I've had not so wonderful managers. I've had amazing coworkers and team members and members of my own team because I manage a team of 30 people. And I've had not so good people that I worked with that were difficult to deal with, that were toxic, that were creating toxicity around them. And so that's all that corporate trauma. That's the product of my account is the product of all of that.
Yeah, no, it's true. There's a lot to take away, and I totally understand there has been a shift in the corporate world. But how did you start it then with your handle, right? Where was it for you a release? Was it or something that I need to laugh, otherwise I'm going to cry because I have to say your content makes me laugh. So why did you start it this handle?
The handle really is who I am. I am a career woman. I am a mom. I am a Gen X generation. And I'm Tatyana. And unfortunately, Tatyana really is not in that picture in a lot of cases. And I think my 2025 goal is to change that and put Tatyana a little bit more forth than I am today. And I know that a lot of moms really can relate that everybody is ahead of them on the to-do list, on the priority list. And as moms, we really need to change that as well. And as a Gen X, I mean, like we grew up before we grew up, if you know what I mean. And there are so many relatable things amongst Generation X. I think that we probably relate to more things than any other generation can relate to. We grew up without internet. We grew up with books. We grew up with libraries. We grew up without computers. We figured out how to get what we needed to get in terms of information on our own. So I can't say that we're the smartest generation. Obviously, that's not the case. But in terms of resourcefulness, I feel like Generation X is the most resourceful generation.
We were street smart because
Well,
we
I
had
think-
to.
Yes and no. I think what you're trying to say is we had to be resourceful, but then we also had to adapt to all these changes and pick up. Now I'm working full time through a computer, through your phone. I mean, before back when we first started working, if you were sick, you were sick. You didn't work, but now you're working no
Oh,
matter
you're
what.
Oh, yes.
Snow days, right?
Yes.
We used to
We
have
had
snow
actual
days.
snow- We're probably
Used
one of
to
the
have
last
snow days.
generations
Yeah.
of real snow days.
And we walked to school uphill both ways, remember?
Ways carrying like 100 pounds
I
of
didn't.
books.
I didn't. Sorry, my
Well-
father was bringing me.
You're French. They were nicer to
I
you.
took public transportation to school.
I took a school bus. So Tatyana, thank you for that background. You shared a lot and we appreciate that. You commented you're all the way up to almost 90,000 followers or slightly over. Did you ever expect your content to really resonate with that many people?
I hoped it would because really my page is for people to laugh. To
Mm-hmm.
laugh, not to cry. I don't get paid for any of that. It's really for fun. And it's to
Okay.
create a community of people who can relate, to understand that they're not alone in what they're experiencing at work. Because it's really difficult to think, okay, well, I have this toxic boss and I don't know how to deal with this toxic boss. I can't believe I'm the only one who's experiencing that. And then you open up Instagram or whatever other TikTok, whatever other platform. There's so many humorous pages out there. There is an old Russian joke that there is always part of the joke in every joke, but the other part is not really a joke. You know, it's reality. It's funny to some extent that it's funny, but it's not because it's true. And so I want people to not feel like they're alone. We're all going through this. I get so many comments and DMs saying, feels like we work for the same company. Yes, it's one big global corporation. That's what it is, because it's the same everywhere.
To me, that's why it resonates with so many people, is because you're bringing to light the fact that a lot of what we're going through, or you're going through, we all are going through.
Or we went at some point.
Yeah.
If not now, we will at some point, or we will even, right? It's cyclic.
Mm-hmm. Cyclical.
Cyclical.
I like to Claude explain. That's what
Shares
happens.
his
But sometimes when
perspective.
she says a word that I'm like, that's not it. I like to translate it for her. So my next question for you is, do you have a workplace bestie? Or a few?
Absolutely.
Doesn't have to be just one.
Absolutely. My manager is actually my workplace bestie, and one of my coworkers who we share a wall in the office. We both have offices, but we share a wall, and the slightest inconvenience, at least I run to her office. She doesn't run to my office, but I run to her office, and we vent and we feel really better after it, and we save on therapy too. It's free therapy.
And I have the mug that's like work bestie equals your therapist. Yeah, it is true. It's definitely one of the many benefits of having a work bestie is having that person to bounce stuff off of.
Yeah, this built-in system, right? And how long have you been friends? And when was it something that came like suddenly, like you knew right away, or slowly?
We just have been working in the same department for so long, been sharing a manager for a long time, been in the same division for a long time. So we know a lot of people. We started when the business really started. And so it's a lot of things to relate to. We know a lot of people who are no longer with the company. And so there are a lot of things that we have in common, and it's easy. That's why it's easy to relate, and it's easy to vent, and it's easy to compare to the good old days or whatever else, because this is not how it used to be type of conversation.
Oh, yes.
I feel like that gets brought up a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to do it that way, but
yeah, and it's really, really important. And I also want to try to convey that through my content, is that it's so important to surround yourself with people you respect, who respect you. It doesn't have to be this toxic positivity all the time. It doesn't. But you have to surround yourself with people you can trust. And it's difficult to know, especially with new people. It's difficult to know who you can trust in the corporate environment, especially today. It has been dog eat dog before. It still is. So I wouldn't recommend trusting just anybody. That's why it's like if you've known a person for 20 years or 15 years or 10 years, they've been with you through thin and thick, and you can trust them, because until you are in trouble together, or until you need help and that person helps you, or you help that person, you can't really know for sure who you can trust. And I think I have one of the posts where what's one thing that corporate life taught you is that you can't really share a lot of things you want to share just with anybody beyond like pleasantries. Like you can't just go into a break room and tell your life story to just anyone. Even if you want to, even if you just need to let it out, you just shouldn't, because people will use that against you. You never know, especially today. It's just such a weird work environment today. A lot of layoffs are happening. People really don't know what the future holds at this point, especially today.
Yeah, it's definitely a more tenuous time right now. And being cautious is smart,
So important.
but that's why work besties are so critical, because
Absolutely.
during this time you're going to need to lean on them even more than you probably would have before. We do need to be thinking, especially in a corporate environment, to show up your best self each day and not reveal too much and or be more buttoned up.
And what does because I'm sure your work bestie is aware of your page.
Yes, she
What
is.
does she think
She's
about it?
one of the very, very few people who is.
Yeah,
oh, really?
She's a work bestie, right? She has to be. And I'm sure a lot of them is some example came to your content, some history with her, I'm sure. What does she say about it?
She says she laughs. And that's really all I need from people. I don't need any other reaction. If you find it funny, tell me. If you don't want to tell me and you find it funny, that's still great.
Yeah, at least like it.
Oh, that I don't really care about either. So it's just out there. It's an outlet for me, as it is for people who consume it.
Yeah,
it's a reciprocal relationship.
I mean, based on just scrolling through it again last night, I feel like you've got a lot of people that definitely do still like it and think about it. So your content that kind of, as you just commented on, the mixing of the humor and the truth, I think it's so relatable and hits home to so many people. How do you decide what to share?
You know what? It's usually I prepare content usually on weekends.
Okay.
And
sounds familiar.
I just schedule it, during the time that I want it posted.
Uh-huh.
But it's never a dull moment in corporate world. Never. Every day is something new or weird that's happening that I'm sure would be relatable to people. And in a lot of cases, it's cyclical, like performance review time, bonus time. Usually it's at the same time for a lot of companies. And so then there is a series of content about that. And then mid-year reviews, there is a series of content about that. Employee surveys, I mean, all of that stuff. And then in the interim, it's just basically whatever pains me the most. Pet peeves, office pet peeves, and, communications with various
types of people,
groups within my corporation, like HR or accounting. There are these cliches, and in most cases, they're true, unfortunately.
It's true, though. It is totally true. Otherwise, they would not be cliche,
Right? Yeah. So it sounds like then, Tatyana, a lot of your posts are actually from true inspirations, like things that are happening.
True stories, absolutely.
I feel like that makes this more
authentic.
Real to home now, because I'm like, oh my God, this must be what she's going through right now. So based off of the posts that you have had, has there been any kind of unexpected or wild reactions that you've gotten that you were kind of shocked by?
You know what? I'm not shocked at anything anymore. And the
corporate life for you.
Hilarious reactions, which I'm sure commenters of those comments don't find hilarious, but I do, is when men try to mansplain things to me. And, or I don't want to call them like corporate bootlickers or anything like that. That's how I see them, like, oh, nobody wants to work anymore, or just shut up and do the job, you're getting paid for it, or why are you complaining, start your own business. It's like, what?
Why are you on my page?
Yes, exactly. I think you're on the wrong page, first of all. And second of all, I love my job, but I will still complain. I'll continue complaining. And most of my posts are not about the job. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Have you completely missing the point? They're not about the job. It's about how corporations operate. It's the culture. It's the people who work there. It's the personality hires. It's the pay inequality. It's pay inequality. It's the lack of pay transparency. It's, I say one thing but do another thing. It's all about that. It's never about the actual job. And I don't even know why they spend time commenting this. It's silly because obviously they're not following me. They're not understanding the message, obviously, because they're saying stuff like that. And, I just find it funny and I like to mess with them. I would be responding to their comments and then, it creates engagement. So that's great.
Gets the rest of your to like double down on it and respond. That's So you commented on the beginning, your handle is true to who you are. You're a corporate woman who is a mom and Gen X. So how are you able to balance working in a corporate environment, being a mom, and then kind of also doing a whole other side job of manning the social content? How are you able to balance all of that?
It's difficult. I'm not going to lie. I have an absolutely amazing husband. My daughter goes to school and my husband takes her to school. I pick her up. So we have that balance in the family, which a lot of women I feel lack. I'm also following a lot of moms and I love mom content. And the biggest issue I see is that there isn't this partnership that the family should be. You know, how a man comes home from work and says, "Oh, I'm so tired," but then a mom comes home from work and she still has another job to do at home. In my family, that is not the case. 50-50, or my husband does more than 50 most days. And he's retired, so he's a man of leisure, so he can do it. I work.
Is it the mama?
Exactly. Trophy wife.
I think you hit on a point that I love to hear, especially amongst, I think Gen X is probably the first time you really openly hear it too, how partnership in a family needs to be 50-50 across almost everything. It can't just be the working, because we pick up and do a corporate job every day too, or have jobs. So not to say it has to be in a corporation, but and then to come home and still have a full-time job. Technically, so does your spouse. Yeah.
What I like also, I think it was Michelle Obama that was saying it's not 50-50 all the time, right?
Yeah.
At some point, it's going to be the man 70, the woman 30, and then later on, it's going to be 40-60, and then 50-50. That's at some point, depending what's happening in your life, you know, but at least there is that support that is so much needed.
Yeah, I mean that's what
absolutely. Without the partner's support, it just becomes madness, and it just becomes animosity. And for most, I'm sure that's, you know, source of good content on social media. But other than that, in real life, that must be really, really difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
And balance, because again, a woman can't handle all of it, and the burnout is real.
Exactly. And then you become frustrated, right? You're starting that frustration, and I think what kills the most is the resentment. You know, resentment is like that what kill it all.
So please tell me and the audience, how have you become besties, and why are you in the same room? I'm very interested
Tatyana, for asking
hear.
us a question. I love this.
Yeah, I know. I started the table.
I love this. Do you want to come on and be on all of our podcasts? We would love.
Where are you guys located?
So we're located in New York, and we too also work in a corporate environment
and have been working for years.
Together. Oh yeah, well, we're years in general, but together we've been working for a few years.
2.5, I think. 3. I don't know. 3
feels like 20, but it's only been a few years. And we kind of instantly bonded at work. We just had similar but very also complementary personality.
So the first time was you are a boomerang. She was a boomerang.
I worked at this company before,
and then she left, and then I came, and then at the time our boss said, "Oh, you know, Claude, why don't you speak to Jess? Jess wants to know what's going on in the company, etc." And from there, right away, we kind of bonded. From there.
Before I came back.
Exactly. Yeah. And then she came, and I think we also trauma bonded, I have to say. Which a lot of time that's what happens, right? And also about projects. And that's where really we saw where we were complementary. We were supporting each other. For me was incredible to have this support. And I keep on saying all the time that everybody always laugh, but the yin and the yang, right? And worked very well, and we were laughing all the time. We have our little quirk of sometimes dressing the same.
Well, I mean, so we for like events, like we had like at work, sometimes it would be like theme days or something, and then Halloween, we would dress up the same for that. It's not like we walk into work dressed up the same all the time.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that's TMI.
I know. Like, call in the morning. Yeah, I think some of the themes that you share is kind of some of the realities that bonded us. We were in a stressful work environment. It could go one of two ways, right? We were peers that we could have taken that time to take the other one down. We could have. Or we could have
support each other,
doubled down and figure out a way to work with each other, which is what we did to get through it. And instead of both coming up to the table, showing up differently, where some areas was my strength and some was your strength, and we probably that would have been really obvious to the person we reported into. Instead, we just let's just do it together for each thing. And then both of our outputs.
Which a lot of time, the person at the time was like trying to separate us.
Yeah, I don't think they appreciated it as much.
But we actually made it us even closer. And then you could see afterwards, the organization actually were laughing about our relationship, our work bestie, and also the people that reported to us, started to have a good ambience in the department.
And it was happening right as it sounds similar to what you were talking about. During COVID, everybody obviously was 100% remote. And then after COVID, we were 50-50, right? Like 50% coming back. And you could tell the dread of people being in the office, but a bunch of them would comment like, what days are you guys going to be there? Because at least if we were there, they would get some kind of a comic relief. And they felt like the ambiance, as you commented, was a little bit more energizing and fun.
Yeah.
And jokingly, one of them said something along the lines of, in my mind, have reinterpreted their conversation to say that she said we should do a podcast, but I think she said reality show, right?
Yeah, I think at one point we thought that we were so funny, it's just us. Like I'm sure with your work bestie, right?
I mean, you are very funny. Look at your cousin.
Well, actually, you are funny. And then someone was, about the podcast and just
literally the next day, I was like, this is the name we should have for our podcast. I got his email address. Here's what I think we should do for the season 1. And she was like, this is a real thing. I'm like, yeah, it's a real thing.
And since then, we're not working together in the same department, still in the same company, but different floors, different departments. Yeah, but we are still work besties.
If you want to use any of this content, we are okay with it. But yeah, I think a lot of what you heard is what you write about, right?
Oh, that's great. It's always good to have someone you can talk to, because if you don't, it's very isolating. And just like at home, if you don't have that kind of a relationship with your partner, and here it's the work bestie.
Yeah.
It's very isolating, and it's hard, and it builds resentment, and you may not necessarily hate your job, but you just hate being there.
Exactly. You dread going.
The work bestie absolutely makes it worth commuting to the office. Okay, let's put it that way.
No, definitely. I know that. I mean, we are not working together anymore. I mean, next to each other. But next to each other anymore. But I know that I was going to the office much more, even more going to the office that now. I'm still going, but it's a bit different. It's an adjustment.
Yeah. One of the things we do still too is like, what days are you going in?
Yeah.
Even though we don't sit next to each other, just because, as you comment on, you get more energy or matter. Even just being live in meetings together, we give the looks.
Yes. Or we live together. Take the subway. Yeah,
together. we take the subway home.
No, that's cool. Yeah. I think best friends, and it doesn't necessarily need to be work best friends, but I feel like best friends stem out of these long-term relationships, like school, work, college, whatever, and they stay with you for life if you have enough trauma to relate to. That's, you've been through enough things that this is your person.
Yes,
exactly.
These are lifelong friendships for sure.
Yeah, and the person that you trust, you have no problem to say something knowing that the day after, I should not have said that, but you don't have to think that, because she's your person or he's your person.
Absolutely.
Or they're your person.
I was just thinking, this is one of the things that I think people loved and hated about us. You have like certain phrases and sayings that you say all the time. I feel like in every podcast I should like write them down, get them through them all.
Like a bingo?
Yeah, like a bingo.
Let's do that. Let's do a.
Because you literally hit on all your typical phrases already. Which one? You've done them all. The yin and the yang, the support,
you forgot one.
You already said authenticity.
Okay, you forgot one.
Which one did I forget?
I love it.
We have a lot of free time because I'm sure same as you on your weekends, you're doing this. Whenever we are meeting to like strategize on stuff, one of the things I keep saying is I'm going to splice the things that we say consistently. And she says, I love it, like all the time.
Better, I love it and I hate it.
And mine is very odd. Mine is like, I'm curious. I say it all the time. I'm like, I love that yours is like a nice positive, and mine's like, I'm curious.
Yeah, when I say I'm curious at work, it's usually because I'm talking to a man. I'm curious. Help me understand.
But you know the answer.
Exactly.
But you already know the answer. Yeah.
Well, my
I
answer
that.
was in the email that I said per my last email.
Yeah, it was in the email recapping the meeting that we had about my previous email. I had explained this to you.
Exactly. Yep.
Yes, I will say that if I say it at work, it usually has a different context, but I don't mean it that way on the podcast. Please know. I usually am actually just generally interested to know. Do you have any new things coming up that you might want to share, or any?
What's the next for you?
Oh, nothing new. Just gonna go with the flow.
Okay.
Make fun of the same people, make fun of the same processes, make fun of the same dysfunction.
People still like it.
In different ways, you know, there's so many different ways to make fun of the same thing.
It's quite impressive because we do some content. It's not that easy to always come up. It takes a lot of creativity. So, I mean, I'm quite impressed by your handle because it's like so natural, and it doesn't feel repetitive at all. So that is quite impressive because it's not that easy.
A lot of inspiration, I should tell you, comes from watching cat videos. Because when I see those funny animal videos, it's not necessarily cats, it can be all other animals
in general.
You see an expression on their face, or the way like they do something, and you're like, wait a second, that's Chad from accounting, and you immediately come up with a meme.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend 5 stars. But for me, a lot of the inspiration comes from just this funny content that's already out there. And I try to make sure that I, tag the original poster. In a lot of cases, these are just like compilations. The accounts there, that's not their original content either.
Yeah.
They're collecting their themed content. If it's like a cat page or a dog page, that's a lot of videos there, or like monkey content, whatever. And it's not theirs, but in several cases I've seen it's theirs. It's either their cat, or then I have to ask permission to redo. It's the content creation. It's a process, but it just comes naturally when you're watching things. And sometimes, come up with original content. And sometimes you saw something completely unrelated to corporate world, and you're like, oh, wow, this could, reenact this with a corporate world theme. So there's just so much stuff out there, and people are going through so much stuff out there, and they're sharing it with the world. And it's like, That's wonderful. That's just like, I don't even have to, and the algorithm helps as well, because, once you like a cat video once, that's it. That's all you get.
That's it, you're done.
You are now in cat video world. So, Tatyana, we wanted to ask you, as I kicked off with, what's one small thing people listening, so all the Work Bestie community out there, what's one small thing that they can do today to create a more positive environment in their work or their corporation?
I feel like people should stop taking a lot of things personally and dismiss the idiots. Like, don't engage with negativity. Come to work, do your work. If you have toxic coworkers, toxic boss, and you can't do anything about it, just ignore them. You're there to do your work, and then you go. And then you go home, and you continue loving your life outside of the workplace. Because at the end of the day, all we need to understand, someone said it, that the companies are basically renting you. They're paying you for your skills, and you have to understand that it's not your purpose to make them money. You are there for your skills. They're paying you. If they can't pay you more, they can't afford you, you need to find someone who will. You shouldn't settle, and you shouldn't treat that workplace as one and all, place. You go there and you earn the money to actually fund the things that you love doing outside of work. And once you switch that to this kind of mindset, it helps. It helps a lot. I know a lot of people maybe can't do it, or, they want to do their best. They want to go above and beyond. They're thinking that they will get rewarded for it. In some cases, they will. In most cases, they won't. But someone else also said, nobody at work will remember that you were working 80-hour weeks, but your family will. Your family will remember. Your body will remember that, your burnout was caused by that, and that's your own fault, basically. That's what I'm trying to also convey and tell people.
Yeah. No,
which is so true. And so it makes us step back a little bit and realize, yes, like you say, it's not our purpose in life. This is not it.
It's not our whole identity. It's not our whole identity. It's just part of it. And especially if you don't like it, especially then, and you like doing something completely different, you just go there, you earn your paycheck, and you go home and you love and you do the things that you love.
Yeah. Sure. That's really good advice. Not easy for everyone, as you commented on.
Not easy for me. Not easy for me also. And I should say that as Gen X, we've been brought up by boomers, and we've been trained in the corporate world by boomers. And basically, we are the people with that work ethic that until it's done, I'm not going home, or I'm giving my all, or I'm going above and beyond. And what I love about Gen Z today is that, well, I'm not giving my all today because the vibe's off, type of thing. And I love it. And I couldn't for the longest time accept it. I was like, what the? Like, you have got to be kidding me. How dare you? And then it dawned on me, shouldn't we all be like that?
Yeah, we should.
If you have done your job, if you have completed your tasks, but then at 5:00 somebody comes in and asks you something, it can wait until tomorrow. Nobody's gonna die. I want to go home and
outside of working in an ER, I feel like no one has a reason to say you have to stay and get this done.
And meanwhile, like you say, us Gen X will take it at 5:00 and say, okay, let me finish it.
Exactly. And I've been like that for a very, very long time. And I still am sometimes, because I'm at that level where I kind of need to log in and respond to like a CFO's question or something like that. Yeah. But, people 5 levels below me, they shouldn't be expected to be that, especially at the level that they're paid.
Yeah.
No, you can't pay a minimum wage and expect someone, to work 80-hour work weeks. You can't.
No, so true.
Yeah. I think that's probably one of the best bits of advice we've gotten in a long time. So thank you for that. But
we really love what you created, Gen X, to really make us corporate people seen and make us laugh, and moms also make us laugh and reflect. So thank you again so much. And can you tell our audience what are your handles, where they can follow you?
Sure. It's just a corporate Gen X mom. That's it.
Perfect. So simple and easy and amazing. All right, work besties. Well, if today's episode doesn't make you want to go text your work bestie with a meme of your own, definitely go find Tatyana. Because believe me, you will find a lot of content to send right away. So a huge thank you to corporate Gen X mom, Tatyana, for being on here and for keeping it real. I think your content, your examples today on this podcast, we're just as authentic and down to earth and even funny as much as your memes are. So if you don't already follow her, please go follow her now, because your feed needs that level of honesty and humor, and your work bestie will love it too. For those that liked this episode, please give us that thumbs up, subscribe, share this episode with your work besties, and don't forget to keep your work besties close. Remember, whether you're swapping snacks in the break room, rescuing each other from endless meetings, or just sending that perfectly timed meme, having a work bestie is like having your own personal hype squad.
So keep lifting each other up, laughing through the chaos, and of course, thriving. Until next time, stay positive, stay productive, and don't forget to keep supporting each other.